What if the people assigned to solve a murder were connected to the suspects? In the Daniel Morgan case, that question changed everything. When Daniel Morgan was killed in March 1987, the expectation was simple: a thorough investigation and justice for his family. Instead, what followed would become one of the most controversial investigative failures in British history. From the very beginning, concerns were raised about how the case was handled. Detective Sergeant Sidney Fillery, an officer based at Catford Police Station, was assigned to the murder inquiry. The problem. Fillery had known both Morgan and his business partner, Jonathan Rees. Despite that clear connection, he remained involved in the investigation during its early stages. Critics later argued that this created a serious conflict of interest. Key opportunities were missed. Southern Investigations, co-owned by Morgan and Rees, was not immediately secured. During that time, files were reportedly removed from the office. Potentially important material was never fully examined. There were also questions about forensic procedures. Items were not subjected to the full range of testing expected in a major murder case. Allegations surfaced that certain lines of inquiry were not pursued, and evidence connected to Morgan's business dealings was not preserved. Each of these issues, taken alone, might have been explained as oversight, but together, they painted a troubling picture. In the years that followed, multiple investigations attempted to revisit the case. Arrests were made, yet every prosecution effort collapsed. In 2021, an independent panel concluded that the original investigation was fundamentally flawed. The handling of the case reflected serious institutional failures, damaging the search for truth. Nearly 4 decades later, no one has been convicted. The murder of Daniel Morgan is no longer just about who committed the crime. It's about how an investigation can unravel when trust in the process is compromised. And for many, that's the most unsettling part of all. His relationship with business partner Jonathan Rees had reportedly begun to fracture. At the center of the tension was £18,000. Rees had been tasked with overseeing a cash transfer. He later claimed he had been attacked with a corrosive substance and robbed. But Morgan wasn't convinced. Those close to him would later say he believed the story didn't add up. He suspected the money had never been stolen at all. The fallout wasn't just personal. The dispute created legal and financial pressure on their detective agency, Southern Investigations. Morgan found himself entangled in potential liability, and the partnership grew increasingly strained. People familiar with the situation later alleged that attempts were made to damage Morgan's credibility. One claim suggested there had been a plan to implicate him in a drunk driving incident, something that, if successful, could have seriously harmed his reputation and professional standing. These allegations were never proven in court, but they added to the growing sense that the conflict had turned deeply hostile. More troubling were suggestions that Morgan had begun looking into sensitive matters connected to his own business environment. Over the years, multiple investigations examined whether his work intersected with individuals inside law enforcement. The 2021 independent panel acknowledged long-standing concerns about corrupt relationships between certain private investigators and police officers. While it did not establish a direct motive for the murder, it concluded that the handling of the case was deeply compromised. Important opportunities to uncover the truth were lost. For Morgan's family, the unanswered questions are haunting. Was this simply a bitter dispute that escalated beyond control? Or was Daniel Morgan silenced because he knew too much? Nearly 4 decades later, the motive remains unproven. But the shadow of betrayal, whether financial, professional, or institutional, still hangs over one of Britain's most notorious unsolved murders.